Hey guys! Before we dive into the various methods of creating floor plans, it's crucial to understand some fundamentals about surfaces and edges. Let's have a look first at the axis that you see here. The blue axis indicates up and down. The green axis shows forward and backwards, and the red axis is to move left and right. So in SketchUp, we have 10 different tools on how to create 2D surfaces depending on what shape you are looking for to create. Let's start with the line tool. You can find it on the left toolbar or by clicking L on your keyboard. By clicking once and releasing, you create a dot, which then is attached to a rubber band effect. The rubber band shows you the direction in which you will continue your line. You can use now the arrow keys to fixate it in a different axis direction. The up arrow will let your line go up and down. The left arrow will move forward and backwards, and the right arrow will let you move left and right. You don't have to fixate your direction, but sometimes it's very useful, as you will see over the next lessons. Now I want to draw in the right direction, so I can simply move my mouse, or I lock the direction by clicking on the right arrow. If you click the right arrow again, the lock will be released. You see on the right bottom corner that SketchUp calculates the distance of that line for you. You now have two options. You can move your mouse along the axis until you have your desired measure, or you can simply type in the measure you need. Let's try this out with 500 millimeters, which equals 19.7 inches. I will also show you on how to do that in inches template in just a moment. So we click and release the mouse, then we type 500 and enter. Now our line is 500 millimeters long. Let's try this with the inches. You click and release and type 19.7 inches and enter. If you prefer to work with fractions, you can always change your unit preferences by going to Window, Model Info and Unit. Here you can choose the format and also your precision. I will continue providing you the measures for inches since it's the fastest to type in. You can obviously change the precision for the metrical version too. Let's continue drawing a rectangle. Now, when you forgot what your measure was on the bottom of your line, you can use the inferencing snapping option by simply hover over the point and slowly move up. You see that SketchUp creates a dotted line, which indicates you are drawing straight in the same line as your bottom dot. This is very helpful, as sometimes you don't always see the lines that clear, and this will make sure that your lines are straight. Once you close your rectangle in SketchUp, it creates a surface in the middle of your rectangle. Now this is very important to understand that in order to have a surface, your loop of edges or lines need to close. Very often I read comments by users not knowing why their wall disappeared or why they can't fill in their surface. It's really just somewhere the loop is not closed. That's really it. So always make sure your loop is closed in order to have your surface. So thankfully, we don't have to draw all our lines with the line tool. So there are other tools on your toolbar that create predefined shapes. Let's have a look at the rectangle tool. You can click R or see it on your toolbar. Once you click and release, SketchUp already shows you all four corners. At the bottom right, you see two measures. One is the width, which indicates also the direction of the red axis. The second one is the length, which indicates the direction of the green axis. Let's say we want to create a 500 millimeters wide and 200 millimeters long shape. We do this by separating those two measures with a comma. So we type in 500, 200 and enter. The comma in between is very important, otherwise SketchUp doesn't know what to do with it. So now in inches, you would type in 19.7 inches, 7.8 inches and enter. It's easy, you just need to remember how to type this in. Next, have a look at the circle tool by clicking C, or you can find it also on the left toolbar. Once you click and release, it provides you the radius of your circle. So if I want to create a coffee table, let's say that is 600 diameters, which has obviously a radius of 300 millimeters, you could simply type in 300 and enter. If you wish to recheck your measurements, you can use the tape measure by pressing T or select it from your toolbar on the left. There's one important thing I want to mention here. When you select the circle tool, it shows you a number on the bottom before even clicking. As you see here, 24 means that your circle will be made of 24 segments. If you create small circles, this might work just fine. But if you do create big circles, like we just did, you literally see the corners. To avoid this, you have to tell SketchUp how many segments you want your circle to be. Let's try this with 60 instead of 24, and you will see the difference. Now I type in 60 and enter and start my circle. Do you see the difference? This is super important. Many don't know this and wonder why their circles look so undefined. Now the next tool I use is the 2-point arc. Click A or find it also on the toolbar. Here we have the same option about choosing our segments, and let's increase it and say we want 25 segments. Then I click and select my first point and click to find the second point. Now I just move my mouse and see it does create an arc for me. This is useful when creating arched doors, for instance. If you want to exit an active drawing tool, you can use the Escape key or the space button. What you may have noticed now is once the shapes overlap in SketchUp, it automatically divides the surfaces. So when you select the surfaces or the edges, you can use your Shift key to select multiple. If you remove a line by selecting it and then use your Backspace key or the Erase tool on the left side of your toolbar, the surface is going to disappear. Which now in conclusion is important to understand that we really need to have a closed loop in order to create a surface. Now that we know how to use the line tool, the rectangle tool, circle and the 2-point arc tool, let's just quickly jump to the other tools. To be honest, some of them I never used for my projects, but maybe you might find some use of them. Now that you know how to draw shapes in SketchUp, please go ahead and try all of the 10 tools. See you in the next lesson.